see a pass here as they go.
A deep dive on the brakes. Here comes the 680 to the inside.
By 7 of a second. I can't believe what we just saw.
Over the next 13 weeks, we'll get to explore names, faces, and places in an international expedition with the Spec Racer Ford. Racing is built on communities and cars coming together in a competitive environment, and no truer is this than on the iRacing.com platform. This afternoon, we'll get to use the online medium of sim racing to bring together 60 drivers of all ages from all places, descending on a circuit in Okayama, Japan, to go racing for 40 minutes. Once the green flag drops, every driver from every corner of planet Earth becomes engulfed in the magic that is sports car racing. These are the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, sponsored by 42 Stitches, and this is SYM TV. Welcome aboard. I hope you brought your ticket, because our first visit in our international journey starts in the land of the rising sun. Welcome to SYM TV. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Finney and Dakuna. We got through that intro there. I had a little bit of a stumble. New names, new groups, new a lot of things this afternoon, Finney. We've worked with SRF Weekend Warriors once before, a couple months back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, but now it's for a full season following the iRacing official schedule for the Spec Racer Ford Championship, and it all begins at Okayama.
Yeah, there's a very interesting schedule lined up for these drivers going all over the world in the Spec Race Sports. It's definitely going to be fun to watch the season unfold. But as you're saying, there are a lot of new names. There's also, in general, just a lot of names, because there's 60 drivers here lined up to take the green flag for this race. And it's going to be 40 minutes of absolute chaos, I think, having 60 of you guys slug around Okayama.
Yeah, and this is a tight racetrack that was originally constructed more for the wealthy people of the area to come together and run their sports cars around a racetrack in a safe environment. But it's changed since then. It's been used for several high-profile racing series, and now for the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. So now we take a look at the racetrack that we're at this afternoon. We want to extend a huge thank you to 42 Stitches, who have come on board to sponsor this season. Whether it's one piece for that special gift or 1,000 to make your organization stand out, 42 Stitches has you covered. Custom embroidery and heat transfer on a wide variety of items: shirts, hat, jackets, even flame-retardant applications where safety is a concern. Check them out at 42stitches.com and shoot them an email to info@42stitches.com to get your project started. And there is the wonderful logo for 42 Stitches, and kind of inspiring the green and black color scheme that we're going to have here for the SRF Weekend Warriors, as we are right now in the middle of qualifying for our 40-minute adventure this afternoon. And right now at the top of the board is Maurizio Naselli in his number 44. He was quickest in practice, quickest in qualifying right now, Finian, as we have 6.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And now guys are going to be, imagine lining up for the final runs here. This is going to be where the track's quickest, because again, we have so many drivers out here running laps. It's putting down a lot of rubber, so the track's only going to get significantly faster as more and more guys are making attempts. So I think a lot of you guys might be trying to look at the end of this session where they can finally put in a flyer and try to get themselves to replace the 44 at the top of the charts.
So again, Okayama International Circuit, constructed in 1990, one of the newer racing circuits of the world, and again, originally constructed as a place for wealthy individuals in the area to bring their sports cars to race in a safe environment. Located in an area that is pretty sparsely populated compared to some other racetracks in the Japanese countryside here, Finian, but 11 turns, 3.7 kilometers. This is a very small racetrack to have 60 cars at this afternoon. I think turn number 1, which is aptly named First Corner, is going to be extraordinarily important to just stay in the game. Don't get yourself in trouble. Don't damage your relatively fragile Spec Racer Ford.
Yeah, in fact, in general, the first sector leads to a lot of chaos going on. It folds in on itself quite a bit, and when you have a lot of guys coming side by side into really the first sector of the track, and even up to, I'm trying to remember the name of the car. I just named the corners. Give me 1 second here. It is Atwood Curve. That's another heavy braking zone. A lot of incidents happen going into this corner, especially on the opening lap. So drivers, is really, I think, going to just be a matter of being careful, getting yourself sorted out in line, and then you can finally start picking up drivers one by one.
Well, this racetrack is fast in some places. It's very technical in others. Once you hit the hairpin over on this side of the racetrack and you come down through this sector here, Finian, this is very, very technical and very slow for these drivers to negotiate. So you're going to be mostly second, maybe third, maybe a touch of fourth gear. But it's going to be a lot of switchback, left, right, left, and positioning your race car to get over to the other side and have a look up the inside is going to be a major factor tonight. Our main passing zones on this racetrack, down into the first corner, down into the hairpin, even down over into the S-bend over here on the far side of the course. That is really your best passing opportunities, of course, into Atwood Curve as well, just off screen to the bottom left there. Going to be a good passing zone tonight. I suspect we're going to see a lot of passing. We probably won't get to look at all of it because there's going to be so much going on. That's one of the things in a 40-minute race. We're going to get to bounce around to some drivers here and there. But for the 60 drivers watching, thank you for putting on a show for us this afternoon. And please, I apologize in advance for messing up all of your names because this is a big group, drivers from all over the world, and I need to learn everybody's name. It's going to take me a while, but I promise if you correct me, I will not mess it up next week. So we'll try to get it right from the very get-go, but we'll do our best. 4 minutes to go in qualifying. And take a look at Emil Orza in the number 99. He's a driver that I remember watching in the Hoosier SCCA Esports Super Tour back running the SRF. He ran pretty well, so currently 10th, which puts him in the top 10 out of the 60 drivers that are qualifying right now. So pretty good effort for him so far. The 146.449 is his best time.
See if that can improve as he's sitting a little under a second away from the top of the start. There's actually a pretty decent amount of spread amongst every driver on back. Looking so the fastest time 145.7 all the way back to around 50. We're seeing a 149.6. So that's about 4 second spread throughout the entire field, which I think you expect when you have so many drivers of a lot of different degrees of expertise.
So, taking a look at our schedule, where are we going next week? So we've got Okayama, Japan this week. As we head off to our second week, it'll be at Interlagos next Sunday, then Road Atlanta, our trip back to the United States, then Summit Point, Donington, Circuit Zolder, Lime Rock, Phillip Island, Mid-Ohio, Tsukuba, the Nürburgring, Watkins Glen, and Phoenix Road Course. There's a lot of different racetracks, a lot of variation on the schedule.
Yeah, and just to clarify, when we say Nürburgring, we don't mean the GP course. We're doing the Nordschleife in these things. It's just going to really be entertaining just to see these guys. It's such a very slow car, and typically, you see pretty fast cars go around, GT-style cars go around the Nürburgring, not cars like the Spec Racer 4, so it's definitely going to be an interesting one to watch.
Well, I think the other topic of discussion is how this car drives. You have a 5-speed manual gearbox. They're pretty fragile. They're made out of fiberglass, so you dent these things up, it will hurt your aerodynamics. But this car is very momentum-based, and talk about lift-off oversteer. If you get off throttle in this car, Finney, that's when this car rotates around, and we see a lot of crashes on corner entry because as soon as you lift off the throttle, the back end wants to step out on you, and maintenance throttle through the corner to keep the car stable is very important. That makes these tight, twisty sections very tricky to keep speed up. So I think every driver in this field has a responsibility on lap 1 just to keep their car under control, and on the pace lap, you got to keep your tires warmed up and make sure that you're probably going to be standing start, actually. So you got to make sure that your tires are warmed up by the time you get down to the first corner so you don't wipe yourself out and maybe some competitors and take them with you.
Yeah, and the key thing too, again, also we were talking about, just being careful on the first lap. That doesn't just apply to, racing other drivers. You got to be careful with yourself as well, as you're saying, with the cold tires. You got to make sure that you don't overestimate how much grip your tires have. You got to assume that you have next to none as you're trying to sort them out. So you make a dive bomb move and expect that you're able to slow down and make the corner, and you end up hitting someone. It's going to ruin your day and also your fellow competitor's day as well.
Running on board with Brett Holton as he heads down to the final corner, turn number 11, to come back out on the front straightaway. This corner is so challenging to get right. Late apex to get yourself fired up onto the front straightaway because this is a long straight, very important to get a good run. So Holton comes on through. That time was not a flyer. He will get one more lap in the books before the day is over. He's right behind another UK buddy right in front, trying to see what car number that is. That looks like it is the 222 car, which today is being piloted by Kenneth Batley out of UK. So these guys right now currently 19th and 33rd respectively. And there are other drivers in this field who we have to keep an eye on. As always, Steve Ray is here today. And, taking a look at where he is in the lineup.
15th.
Big timing and scoring screen. It's going to get used to having this many cars on it. 15th looks like he's pulled it off for qualifying, so that's where he will be at best.
Looking at Austin Winter and if you want to take a look at the track conditions.
Yeah, I wanted to take a look here because take a look at the track temperature here, Finney. 115 degrees is hot and very slick, and I think we can see the lap times fluctuate pretty wildly once this racetrack gets some cloud cover over it. And it is cloudy right now, so, again, if the sun comes out, it's going to skyrocket the temperature. We could see it in the 120s, even closing in on the 130s if we get direct installation on the racing surface. You already see the rubber starting to build up in some of the corners as well, Finney, and so getting offline and into the marbles could end your day very quickly as well.
Absolutely. His qualifying is wrapping up here, waiting for the last few drivers to put down a solid time. I'm mainly looking at, I was looking at the 33 of Austin Winter, but it looks like he's gonna bail out of his lap to potentially go up. So it looks like for the most part, we might see the top few positions stabilize.
Yannick Chauvin in the 13 car is one of the drivers that has not yet laid down a lap time and is currently on a flyer and closing in on the last sector of this course. There are 3 drivers that have not yet laid down times, and Chauvin is one of those in the number 13 right now as we head through the final sector. Again, I told you about how tricky and technical this is. One of the corners that is sort of a one that you have to attack is this right-hand kink here, Finian. There's pavement here on the right because that's pit entry, but there's a big, tall curb. You want to straddle that and get as much speed as you want, but at the same time, you straddle it too much, you get yourself a slowdown penalty. So risk versus reward on that particular section.
Absolutely. As he comes back across the start-finish line and across the timing line, which is right about here.
147.839. That will put him, as he's going to go for a big loop, that will put him, or not. I don't see him getting scored yet, so maybe that was a dirty lap. But either way, a disappointing end for Chauvin. So 1 minute and 19 seconds left in qualifying for those that are finishing their lap. The only driver inside the top 10 that's still out rolling is Emil Orza. He's jumped up to 5th. John Madden 6th. Ian Haycock 7th. Michael Schmidt 8th. Michael Dobek in 9th, and Sergio Dorelli in 10th. We'll roll through the entire starting grid for you on the as soon as we get to the gridding process here in just a moment. But looks like Maurizio Naselli is the one to beat by 34 thousandths of a second over Felix Simoes.
Yeah, a great qualifying effort, but we were talking actually about the gaps earlier. They've kind of come on down, and especially within a few hundredths of a second. So really looking forward to seeing the race play out. Definitely this 44 Naselli is not going to be able to run away.
See the times on the left-hand side of your screen. We've got, looks like, 17 drivers within a second of the race leader. And we've got, let's see, how about a cool 42 within 2 seconds of the race leader. Not only do we have a lot of cars, we have a lot of very competitive race cars. We get lined up for our 40-minute event here this afternoon on this beautiful Sunday. Thanks again for joining us here on SYM TV. If you're new here, make sure to drop a subscribe. Still sort of a growing channel here, been around since February of 2018. We've done work for GT World Challenge America, Spec MX5, Grid Life, the SCCA, and more. Always happy to partner with new groups and new people, new faces, as we have here with the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. Thanks again to 42 Stitches for sponsoring this afternoon's event and all the events going forward into this season as we grid up and get ready to go racing this afternoon.
Yeah, we are lined up for a rolling start here with drivers lining up, not necessarily on the back straightaway, but a few corners away from the start.
It's like if Jonathan Madden up at the front, I thought we would have seen Rizio up in the front. I'm trying to see where he has located himself. But either way, unless that's interesting. I wonder where he went. Off the top of the, I don't know off the top of my mind where he could have gone, but we'll see if Jonathan Madden looks like he's the one sitting on pole here in the number 8 car. Let's roll through our starting grid here, Finn. We're just going to let it scroll because there are too many drivers to get through in a very short amount of time. But Maurizio Naselli was supposed to be starting on pole for this race as we get ready to go launching this afternoon. So you can see the field gridded up, and oh boy, that is that's a sight to behold. Is 60 Spec Racer Ford. Look at this on the bright side of the screen.
Yeah,
that's wild.
They're lining up all the way through those two left-handers because there's just so many cars. I was actually curious if they were going to do a standing start. Some guys would have been facing the wrong direction if they took the green that way. And even on the rolling start, too, there are going to be some guys backed up quite a bit.
I can only remember a handful of times that we've had a full 60-car grid here on SYM TV. Most of the time they was with the Grid Life group, or Grid Life iRacers series. But typically in cars that were much faster, and by the end of one lap, we typically had a third of the field out of the race. But right now, I'm looking at this field, and it's pretty talented all the way from first to last. So that tells me that we're going to have a pretty sizable field, and we're going to have a pretty sizable field when we're done with this 40-minute event. Thanks again for joining us here on SYM TV for the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors first round of the Season 3 2020 season as we head through the final sector here.
Very windy section here. This could be another place where we see, potentially one driver make a mistake. It's going to wad up a lot of cars. That's going to be, again, very critical to nail on the opening lap and make sure, again, you don't make a mistake because we only got one race here, 40 minutes. And if you make a mistake early, you're going to spend the whole time trying to get it to back.
Pace car pulls off Okayama, Japan for the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. Here we go. Green flag about to fly as we wind through the final bend. 60 cars for the SRF Weekend Warriors, brought to you by 42 Stitches. Green flag flies and we're racing at Okayama, Japan. The field's gonna fan out at the start. 2, 3, maybe 4 wide as we rumble down towards the first corner. Look at that, 5 wide in the middle of your screen now. The 42, 86, 26, all 3, 4 wide into turn number 1, first corner. Do we make it through without any major incidents?
Oh, the 86 gets turned around out of turn 1. He goes sideways to the inside. Looks like no one else is gonna get collected in that.
So far, so good, other than that one car looping around. That was the 86 car. He's gotten back rolling by the looks of it, but he'll lose a lot of positions. We have a name on that. Still learning the names and faces here. The 86 of Sergio Dorelli, who I believe started back in 10th spot, so not a great start for him. As we head through, looks like Atwood Curve, Mauricio Naselli is pulled away now, 1.1 seconds out in front. Austin Winter now to second place. Felix Simoes, David Gaspers, and more. Look at them fanning out 3 wide on the backstretch.
Yeah, and again, the draft so key on this back straightaway. This is going to be the best ideal passing opportunity for these drivers. 3 wide in the background midfield into
Oh, big dive for the one car. Slams into the 31 of Felix Simoes. Sends him way wide at the exit of the hairpin. Big damage there. Oh, another car sideways. A 033. That's Austin Winter. Gets absolutely obliterated at the exit of the hairpin. 2, 3, 4 cars involved. And Simoes was the driver that sort of got hit at the start of that from the one of Gaspers, who just chucked it down too deep into the hairpin and triggered that whole accident. That's going to shuffle around a lot of our front runners. More slipping and sliding, and Simoes gets tagged again. Another big mess as they enter the middle sector here.
Oh, yeah, and you see everyone just trying to fan out and find some sort of way on through. It looks like, they're not going to get any more incidents from there into the double hairpins. Ooh, some more contact with the 206. It's going to be some roughing up between those drivers.
Well, we would go back and take a look at a replay, but there's just too much to watch right now, so we're not going to do that. Again, there's too much going on. We got to pick and choose what we show you here on the pictures and sound on SYM TV. And up at the front, Mauricio Naselli comes on through. He leads lap number 1. So fast in practice and qualifying. He's earned his right to pull away right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually thought that the gap would have been a lot closer, but I think with the carnage we've seen on that opening lap, he was able to pull away from current second place holder Jonathan Madden.
Other drivers deeper in the field going for position. There's a 206 of Bob Kern in that beautiful royal blue car on the outside of 555 of Paolo Brem in the 205 of Miro Razki. Up the inside now as they cross over and head through Williams. Some great side-by-side action all the way back for 29th position. Great racing all the way through the field so far.
Yeah, now they start a single file out through the little kinks and then finally into another heavy braking zone up the hill. Yeah, this is very difficult in some cases to get back on the throttle for these drivers. You want to make sure you don't get back on too early, as we might find yourself spinning out. But you see everyone trying to build up runs here, side-by-side action. How about that? 58th to 39th in 1 lap.
That's amazing. I haven't seen started 58th in a really long time here on SYM TV. That's pretty cool to see. As we got more passing up the road, there's John Unsby in the 61, under attack from the 54, Matthew Staley. He goes through. Simon Mayer behind him. Stephen Beardsley in the 308 and 503, respectively, as they complete a pass for position. Behind them, Paul Jackson in the 249 on the outside of Clement Lefebvre. I totally butchered that name. That's going to have to get corrected for next week, but there's not enough vowels in that name for me to figure out how to say, so we'll get that sorted. Gary Woolbolt has gone off the 215 car and will relinquish, I was about to say 5 spots, make it 10.
Really the tough thing is, again, considering there's so many cars still in this and all really close together, to see these guys operate like a pack through the hairpins. You really, instead of just losing a few spots, you're losing 10 and even more.
On board now with Woolbolt as we head through the final couple corners on this track, turns 10 and 11. You see the damage to the back of Nico Schuch's car in the 287, so he's had someone up the tailpipes of that Spec Racer Ford. 36 minutes to go. Already we're only 4 minutes in, and you can see, wow, look at that big, hard right-hand maneuver for Nico Schuch across the racetrack to get up underneath Maxime de Tomasin in the 919.
And even on the brakes for the 287, going to get that pass done. A few guys also locking up brakes up ahead, mainly Richard Franco in the 273.
And he's side by side now with, looks like, Paul Jackson in the 249. They're going to run a little bit wide out of Williams as they head down this kinked back straightaway. They're going to get it over 100 miles an hour, maybe close to 110, before you jump on the brakes and get the pedals working into the braking zone forward. Oh, there goes the 273 Franco off course in Atwood Curve. Gonna go through the gravel for a moment, pull it back on course as we got Nico shooting out 2 and 3 wide with more trouble in front of him. As it's Jeffrey Fritcher who's gone around in the hairpin. Let's have a look at how this happened here. Fritcher in the 702 into the braking zone. A hit from behind, maybe just a bit of a checkup, a stack up there, and that was the 34 car of Hugh Haycox that got into the back of the 702 and sent him around for a loop.
Yeah, I was running in 14s all the way back in 37, so very large fall down the order. He's going to have to do the best he can to try to get as many spots back as possible.
Erwin Rothgrens in the 069. Look at all the damage that he's collected on his 069 car. He started 12th up to 7th, so it doesn't seem like it's hurting him too badly, but that's a lot of damage on these cars. And they don't have a lot of aero to speak of, so when you disrupt the smooth surfaces of the noses of these cars, it's certainly not helpful.
Yeah, it's definitely going to hurt, especially on the straightaways, too. When you're trying to be the leading car, it's only going to give you a lot more drag, and the guys in behind are going to be able to draft up even easier? You have an easier time drafting up to you to make a pass into a braking zone.
There's Stevie Ray, 16th up to 10th. Great start to the race for him. And Emil Orza, he started 5th and hung out right there in 5th. But out front still, Maurizio Naselli, who's just been absolutely dominant so far.
Seconds.
He's led all 3 laps that we've completed so far, but it just seems like he's going to be the one to beat, maybe not only this race, but for this entire season.
Yeah, I have to see. Madden's matching his pace within a few hundredths of a second, but you know, matching is one thing. You got to catch him. So trying to close in this 3-second gap, he's going to have to start now to try to close that in.
See a little bit of lockup smoke from the race leader, and something you have to manage in these cars. Again, you don't have anti-lock brakes or traction control or anything of the sort. Very manual race cars. Very what's the word I'm looking for? Very the opposite of digital. Analog is the word I'm looking for. Again, you got to use the clutch pedal, and you won't have a very good time if you don't. So you have to be shifting the old-fashioned way and managing the grip the old-fashioned way. There's the 34 Hugh Haycox. To see the damage on the left front, that was from the contact with the 702. Up the middle goes the 20 car, 3 wide. That's Tim Van Dormalen right through the middle. And he wants 12th spot, but couldn't quite grab it away from Hugh Haycox.
And he is going to have to kind of sit on that. Move goes a little bit wide on the corner exit. Not enough, though, for Nunez in behind to make the most of it.
15th up to 13th for him. There's Kurt Nunez, and 22nd to 14th, so that's plus 8 for him. Dan Sandro in the 51, 14th to 16th, so he's dropped a couple spots. But I think I'm more interested to find out where the 13 car is. Yannick Chauvin, 58th to 33rd. His progress has slowed slightly since that initial jump with all the chaos on the opening lap, but still has all the fenders on that car and looking like he'll be competitive.
I mean, still, considering the fact he's pretty much moved up halfway through the grid, a few positions shy of being exactly that, I think it's a really good day so far, and still showing some decent pace, so I definitely can see him climb up a lot more, especially considering he's faster than the next, I think, 15 or 20 cars ahead of him.
Felix Simoes in the 31 car. We saw him with significant damage earlier. He's come down to repair that car and has gotten back out on the track in 47th. There's Matthew Filipovic in the 204 right behind, so that's a good battle there for 47th position. And we've got the entire field pretty much separated out now, a couple tenths of a second between each here. Stevie Ray going for 8th. On Erwin Rothgrens, 3 wide, great crossover move by Dominic Briero. They get together, trouble there. The 108 gets contact from Stevie Ray and the car in front, Erwin Rothgrens, and they're going to get that sorted out. That was close to disaster for those 3.
Yeah, and the 108 trying to get a rundown back and see Ray. This battle not done yet. Maybe going to have a look into the hairpin. Does not.
Here's another look here at the incident. Rothgrens pulls over, tags Stevie Ray, who then gets into the 108. So just a lot of cars gunning for not very much space there on the racetrack. They've gotten it sorted, but Stevie Ray still trying to claw his way forward, currently in 9th position in the 11 car. Taking a look at our 2 race leaders. How about this? Look at Jonathan Madden's last lap, a 146.317. Which was about a tenth off of the race leader, but that lead has come down slightly. It was over 3 seconds at one point, now it's 2.8.
Yeah, so he's making progress now. That's really the key thing. So a little inroads like this again, as we still got over 30 minutes left in this race. So if we can start now nibbling little by little at the lead, he should be able to get there.
And right behind him in 3rd place on the bottom step of the podium is David Gaspers, Ian Haycox, and Emil Orza, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And Jerry Macarivi in the 6th place 67 car has Michael Dobeck right behind him in the 67 and 42. So those guys are having a little bit of a scrap for 6th position.
Oh, and Here comes Dobek, going to get a great run on the straightaway here, and McAreevy going to have a hard time trying to defend this here. You're pretty much a sitting duck.
Was a half a car length, now it's no car lengths. Two drivers right, comes Dobek to the inside, and it looks like McAreevy's going to jump on the binders a little early and facilitate that bit of an inside front lockup for Dobek, but gets it slowed down. And behind him, Stevie
So
Ray.
seeing these guys side by side through this section, and Stevie Ray going to get the job done on the 108 and going to give him a little bit of a block as he clears up for the position.
You hear the rumble strips vibrating underneath the wheels here, and the curbing at Okayama is generally fairly flat, and you can use it in these cars. Really just the penultimate corner in turn 10, that's just one you have to watch to avoid scraping the underside of your car. And everywhere else, you can sort of use it to extend the track. I will say that the inclination of the curbing from the inside edge of it to the outside where the grass is fairly steep, so it sort of throws you off it a little bit. So it's not I wouldn't use it as much as you would at a place like Road America, for example.
Yeah, there definitely are. It's one of those tracks too that, you know, there's some curbs you can use, some curbs you really can't, and also some curbs you definitely have to respect. If you take a little bit too much of it, hit some grass, you're definitely going to find yourself looping it around in a corner.
There's Erwin Rothgrens in the 069. He's got Michael Schmidt behind him now. That's that white car. Closing in was almost a full second. Actually, excuse me, there's correction. 1.2 seconds quicker last lap out. So that damage on the 069 seems like it's hurting him a little bit here, Finian. And Schmidt closing in for a 10th place position.
Yeah, got some decent amount of damage on the left front, but also a lot of damage on the right rear, and that's really not going to be doing you any favors. Again, as we're talking about, you know, you want to keep your car in as pristine condition as possible, and, you know, every little dent and bruise is going to hurt you just a little bit more.
Trouble for Will Ferry in the 248, and I don't exactly know where this happened, so I would like to go back and try to see if we can find out. Looks like he just hit pit lane with damage to repair, and looks like he's called it a day, so I'm going to try to go back and see if we can find what happened to him, maybe. He's had that damage for a while, so decided he was off pace and came down and called it a day. So there is the racetrack. You can see the car's almost wrapping entirely around it now, as we are about 13 minutes into this 40-minute race. And deeper in the field, still good battles. Look at Yannick Chauvin up to 27th. That was +6 from the last time we saw him, past the 222 of Kenneth Batley. Really impressed by this. This is just cool to see. Look at this, 58th to 27th. He's effectively gone through half the field already, and still half the field left to go. Get himself up towards the podium.
Yeah, still putting in some really solid times too. I'm curious if he's one of those drivers that typically just likes to start in the back for fun, because he's kind of showing it. He's making some steady, solid progress. I wouldn't be too surprised, honestly, if we see him break the top 20, maybe even top 15.
See right in front of them, Bob Kern going to hit pit lane, and also Erwin Rothgrens will also hit pit road as well. You'll see that tag in the timing and scoring tower on the left-hand side of the screen. Yannick Chauvin a little bit wide at corner exit, drags the tire through the gravel, but a lot of drivers pitting because they're realizing that their damage is too severe to continue without losing a lot of time. And I like this call, Finian. I would rather come get yourself a fresh car and go back out there than spend the entire race running a second or two off pace.
Especially with the fast repairs too, might as well definitely utilize getting a completely fresh car rather than dealing with the damage. Especially some guys, the rear end smashed in way too much is going to definitely hurt their aerodynamics.
John Unsby just gave up a position to Yannick Chauvin, and we got trouble up in front of them. Tim Van Dormalen around in Atwood Curve, going to get back on course. See if he had some help here, if this was a self-induced spin situation. Caught this a little bit late. Let's go back a little farther. It was right in front of, it looks like it's at the 82. That would have been Zorik. He comes down into the braking zone. Was there, oh, just got the left rear tire in the dirt, Finney. That's a classic sports car racing mistake. Just get the tire off in the dirt, and car just steps out.
Yeah, it kind of almost feels like there should be curb or something there on the entry of the corner. Unfortunately, it's just grass. So if you try to arc the corner a little bit too much, you catch the grass, and the car, unfortunately for him, went around. So he's going to drop significantly down the order from 13th to 27th.
Well, Atwood Curve is really interesting in that it's a rising right-hand corner. It reminds me a lot of the toe of the boot at Watkins Glen, where you drive into the corner and the gravity and elevation actually helps slow the car down. So you can charge that corner pretty hard. It's also a corner that you can double apex. You can actually enter on the right side of the racetrack, track out in the center of the corner, and then apex late. So it's not a corner that you need to be offset that far to the left, but that's where Dormalen wanted to be. It looks like the car beside him is going to give up position. Kenneth Batley, he'll hit pit lane. Stevie Ray also on pit lane. That's not a car we thought we'd see. Already down there and leaving again.
Yeah, quick service for the 11 car.
13-second stop for him as he rejoins the racetrack. 33-second time loss. They'll rejoin the racetrack in 27th. Back up towards the front, Emil Orza and Ian Haycox is the black and white 99, and then the lime green and aluminum foil colored 35 car. Those drivers are 4th and 5th as it stands.
Yeah, more or less these guys where they started for Orza. He started in 5th, up into 4th for Ian Haycox. He started in 7th, is up into 5th. So steady run for both of these drivers.
Bobby West in the 889 battling with the 247 car, and I have conversed quite a bit with Aaron on the forums, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name. So I'm going to try, and I'm going to say Vogel. I'm going to get corrected very quickly because I know that there's some fans of Aaron's in the chat. So please correct me so I don't make that mistake more than once. But Aaron right now running in 16th. Good run for him so far. Started in 35th, so that's a lot of positions he's up so far. Plus 19.
Yeah, it's indeed one of those really strong guys moving up to the front, even a little bit further back than Matthew Staley, running 19th, started in 41st, is up, so it's gained over 20 spots for him.
And look at the car, not a scratch on it. I think that's the key to these races, especially tracks that are more tight and technical like this one. If you can keep yourself out of trouble, you're going to be gaining 20, 30 spots if you start out back. I don't think you're necessarily in a position to win the race, but you can certainly get yourself a top 10 with this strategy, and so far for both these drivers, it's working well. I just got confirmation that it is Vogel, so I pronounced it correctly. Thank you, Racing Dad. as we head into the latter half of this race, 23 minutes in, I see a lot more drivers hit pit lane, probably for fuel here, if they need to fuel up and make sure that they can make it to the end.
Yeah, I imagine so. There's a mix, though, that some guys didn't take fuel. Some guys just came in, got just prepared and got back out there. So weird mix of drivers down a pit row. I'll see that continues as we're looking out the back of that looks like...
That's Michael Domek and Jerry McAreevy in that car. I always stumble on that name because I want to say McAvery or something like that.
Yeah.
But we're learning, and again, we're also learning the tendencies of this field. Again, this is not a series. We did the series once before at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. No pit stops required at that race. So we're just sort of getting used to the trends and how these races are going to play out. So forgive us for being a little bit discombobulated in these first couple of rounds. Behind him, Bobby West and Aaron Vogel, 15th and 16th. Still battling here. They're bringing in Simon Mayer. The 308 behind him. This will now be a 3-car, making a 4-car battle as Staley's here too.
Absolutely, and this is where it gets interesting when you have multiple cars in the mix like this, especially guys drafting off of one another. So as we work through here the double hairpins, this is really a tough section to try to you're waiting to really just get back on the power. If you get too early, you're going to track out too wide, clip some grass, and you see it looks like West is going to pull off on a pit road.
And I would actually say the pit entry at Okayama is very safe. It's way out of the way. You pull off to driver's right. Oh, he slips!
Whoa.
Bobby West in the tire barriers in the pit entry. And that's a big mistake there. It'll cost him at least 5 or 6 seconds as he gets back rolling. But you cannot have that happen if you want to stay in the battles that you were involved in before the pit stop.
Yeah, and it's almost tough in a way where, it's very tempting to, just try to go in as fast as possible. But you got to be careful, otherwise you'll make a mistake as we saw with West.
Sergio Dorelli in the 86. He was the driver that we saw turned around on turn 1, lap 1. He's recovered back to 16th position, has not yet made a pit stop, but escaped with very minimal damage considering where and how he went off the course.
Haycox has made a trip.
All right, I just had to restart the audio there. I think I noticed something bouncing around a little bit, so wanted to get that corrected before it became an annoyance. Matthew Staley, now in a 3-car fight, 247, 308, and 54. Nose to tail, bit of a touch there as the 308 goes defensive. This is heading down into the hairpin on the brakes now, downshifting. Staley's going to try to go the long way around and cross over on corner exit. That hairpin is so tight, Finian, it's difficult to cross that over effectively.
Yeah, it really is, and I think you need a car that has a little bit more power, so in a slower machine like this, it's going to be difficult to try to get a better run on the guy ahead of you, because you both have pretty similar exit speed, so unfortunately wasn't able to work out. Still, the 54 Staley trying to make a move, maybe some contact with the 308 into the hairpin.
Crossover now. So the 308 trying to hang on to that spot as these guys battle for 14th position. Aaron Vogel pulling away now in 13th position, and now looks like Vogel and Staley also going to hit pit lane. And so now Maurizio Naselli, we haven't talked about our leader in a while. He's in the thick of lap traffic at the moment.
Yeah, honestly, if I was him, again, he's a really good driver, so I would say he definitely knows what he's doing. But if I was him, I would come in to pit road now and try to avoid the traffic because he's in the thick of it. And this is slowing him down. It's only going to really help Madden, I would imagine, as he's trying to chase Naselli down.
Yeah, he's going to have to go maybe middle 3 wide to get by these lap cars, and his last lap was only 3/10 off his best, but look at, he's having to take some pretty big risks here to get through this field, and Madden is still 3 seconds back, so he hasn't gained, but this is just so risky for the race leader to be making moves like that, with the drivers behind him don't have to do that. So David Gaspers, Emil Orza, oh look at this, right in front of him, all sorts of wild action here. Madden's going to approach very quickly.
Orza now also, or sorry, not Orza, Gasper is now closing into Madden here, and he might have a shot here depending on where Madden catches these guys. He's approaching the hairpins, would probably be worst place to catch lap traffic. Here they go.
14 is a little bit wide. You see the car slip and slide on off-throttle oversteer. That is David Bloom. He'll be well out of the way that time through. Oh, a little bit of a touch there with the one car. That is your third place car. Spins and tags another competitor. The 555 also involved right in the middle of the field at the exit of the corner. And that was at the 719 of Kevin Boswell. Yes, it was. So trouble there for those two cars. Already not a great day, and they're going to have a lot less to look forward to now.
Yeah, I think Madden felt he has had too much fun in lap traffic. He's come on down a pit road to get service to his machine as we try to take a look back at what happened with the 14.
He just got loose on the inside of the one, trying to stay off of him, spins back across the racetrack, and the 555 of Paolo Brem also involved in that collision, so some damage there. I think the 719 of Boswell got the worst of it, but he'll have to come on down and get himself a fast repair if he has not yet done so. 18 minutes to go. And Madden's come on down. Gaspers stays out on the racetrack despite that scary moment. Macarivi, Dominic Rioro running out the rest of your top 5. Greg Stefani, we haven't talked about him yet today. 20th to 7th so far. Good run for the 750.
Yeah, really solid run up quite a few spots here. We'll see. Be interesting to see now where everyone's going to come back out. Again, you're not pitting for tires, you're really just pitting for fuel. But if you use the pit stop strategically, mainly to get out of traffic, it can definitely help you quite a bit on your fellow competitors.
Jonathan Madden, he's back out after making his pit stop. He's currently the best running driver that has made a stop. Sits 9th right now and following a group of 3 wide competitors, the 308, the 204.
It's going to get dicey here into the braking zone. There you see him make a late move to
Oh,
the
he
inside.
slips!
He's going to get
Wow.
loose, and Bill saves it. Great driving.
That was impressive to grab that car and keep it from looping. We saw the hands in that car get all sideways as he really went to protect that thing from absolutely going around and stepping out on him. Here's another look. Watch the hands just back to the left, locking up the right front tire. That was exceptional driving by John Madden to get that car woed down.
Yeah, made it look easy, which it absolutely is. And once these things start to get sideways in the back, you're more likely than not going to spin around, but not for Madden. He's going to keep the thing going in the right direction.
All right, Maurizio Naselli from the race lead hits pit lane. Emil Orza stays out on the racetrack, and I'm not even sure if he officially led that lap, and it looks like he did. So Emil Orza now the only other driver to lead a lap today other than Maurizio Naselli, who is back out on the racetrack now. See David Gaspers leaving. Uh-oh, that was a big gain for Gaspers. He'll pull out right behind Maurizio Naselli.
Yeah, it really was. I'm trying to look at what exactly was the difference there. Gaspers had a second faster pit stop. Maybe I think might just also gain on the entry into the pits as well.
Time in pit lane 33 seconds for Gaspers. For Naselli is only 1 second slower. It just seems like Gaspers made up a lot more time than that, but now they're separated by 1.6.
That could be the pit road entry, because again, if you take it right, you can gain a lot of time. A lot of guys think, like Naselli might have just taken it maybe a bit too cautiously to make sure he didn't make a mistake, but that's going to cost him time on the racetrack.
Kurt Nunez and Greg Stefani, they both made their pit stop, 15th and 16th now. Right in front of them is Ed Doherty in the 94. That's that yellow and green car. And right behind them, that is, oh, I thought that was the race leader. Doesn't look like it is. It's a similarly painted car, the 51. That is Dan Sadro, who is also a teammate with Emil Orza in the 4-speed car.
So he's now coming into the final sector. It looks like he's now going to come on down to pit road.
Haycox having a look at Dominic Bureau. This is for 11th position into the braking zone for the hairpin. And consider that pass complete. Move the 34 up to 11th. Bit of a scrap here. 6th place, the 35 of Ian Haycox and the 42 of Michael Dobeck. The 204, who is, I believe, a lap down. That's Matthew Filipovich.
Dobeck is, oh, sorry, yeah, the 204 is lap down. My apologies.
You better apologize. I'm just you can't be wrong ever. As 14 minutes to go, and Emil Orza has come down pit lane, as you mentioned, Finian. Nazelli and Gaspers and Madden have gone by, and Orza now just pulling out of the pits. Sergio Dorelli comes in behind them. So that leaves our race leader with a 1.6 second advantage over Gaspers, but Gasper, I feel like, has been averaging quicker lap times in the latter half of this race. Is he the driver to watch as he drops a tire at the exit of Williams?
I mean, I would definitely say so. You know, he was obviously with a faster lap. That might be play different. That might be, you know, might play into a factor here. And on the last lap alone, he was faster by a 2 to 3 tenths. So I think he's got the pace to get back there. Madden, unfortunately, just spent too much time on pit road. Was 2 seconds slower than Gasper, 1 second slower than Naselli. I think took too much fuel in comparison to the other drivers.
Well, got a little bit of a scrap here for 4th, Emil Orza, who has just left pit lane. Ian Haycox, Michael Dobeck, and Jerry McAreevy in the 67. That's that green car at the back of the shots. There's a 4-horse race for 4th place. And here comes Haycox out to driver's right on Orza.
Gonna move into the hairpin yet again. Gonna easily drive on by. Gonna clear the 99 on exit.
Dobeck trying to throttle up a little bit earlier and try to get a run. It's faux speed 99.
You've got a great run out of the corner here. Is going to get a little bit of drift. No, he backs out of it, interestingly enough.
I just don't think he was quite having the run that he needed to get alongside here. He's going to have a look on driver's left, maybe try to cross over at the exit. Tricky move to do here.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can try to, you know, get back to that inside, but you're not going to have a long time until the corner switches the other way and you're at a disadvantage. So very tricky section to try to set up a pass if you even can.
Right behind is Jerry McAreevy in the 67 car. As he accelerates onto the front straightaway for him. He started this race in 11th, now rides in 7th, so +4 for him. A good day for McAreevy. The 4-horse race still rages on for 4th position on the racetrack. Haycock starting to pull away. Greg Stephanie, he's gone around. I think, is this over on the final corner? It looks like it. Some damage to the back of that car, so I'm wondering, oh, there was contact there maybe with the 18 car of Kurt Nunez that sent him off course for a bit of a safari, an excursion here. Let's have another look from onboard the rear tailpipes of this car. Just the slightest of touches, that's all it takes. And did he get the tire barrier? Yeah, he got it pretty good, actually. So it looks like he has pulled that car off and reset back to the pit lane as well. Unfortunately, that might be the end of Greg Stephanie's day as we go back to the race lead with 11.5 minutes to go here, Finian. Marisa Naselli leads by 1.8. Gaspers unable to close last time through.
Yeah, and again, this is with the time winding down now, just over 10 minutes left. You're going to have to start taking off tenths at the very minimum. You definitely can't afford to be losing time at this point in the race. I'm trying to look up ahead. Not a whole lot of lap traffic. In fact, a lot of clear track ahead for our leaders.
Naselli has led 14 of the 16 laps that we have now completed as he comes through the final corner. It's been a dominant day from practice to qualifying to the race, but it hasn't been a landslide like I thought it would be. Gasper's keeping him honest as they come across the start-finish line, and we head into our last 11 minutes of action.
I want to check on another driver. Yannick in the 13, he's moved up into 16th.
This has just been the drive of the day for me, Finian. I mean, I'm sure there's others that have snuck through here without as much acknowledgement. There's Ed Doherty. He's actually just had an incident right in front. That will move Chauvin to 16th place. Let's see what just happened. Doherty by himself and was on the inside of the 893 car.
Oh.
He got together.
Yeah,
that was Ian Gibson in the 893. That moves Chauvin now up to 15th position. This is just such an immense drive. To get into the top 15 after starting in 58th position, you don't just do that. So I'm really impressed with this driver. We'll see next week if he can qualify up towards the front at Interlagos. Then I'm sure he'll be on pace with the front runners of the field. As we jump back to our 4th place fight, look at this, they're all on top of each other here now.
Yeah, this is where it's going to get interesting here in the final moments of this race. The last quarter of the race specifically, they're deep in the brakes, a puff of smoke as well as they come out of the hairpin.
That was Dobek locking up again. That's been a trouble spot there. The track sort of falls away, so you get onto the brakes and you're going to lock up that right front tire as you turn in and unload that right front. But Dobek, as we saw with a couple other drivers earlier in the day, did a good job managing that lockup and got out of that situation as quickly as possible. Haycox, though, got in front of Orza. He has not been able to drive away.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough thing to drive away. You got a lot of quick drivers in behind you. It's going to be easy to utilize that draft. Haycox is just going to be pretty much looking at his 2 mirrors and just trying to see where these guys are going to line up.
Over the curve in the penultimate corner, 9 minutes to go. Orza sizing up an opportunity here as they exit the corner. Look at the run that he's built. The draft of these cars is significant enough here, Finney, that he should be able to make this move.
Yeah, Haycox also didn't get held by the fact he took a lot of curve, was sideways out of the final corner of the 9-9, going to take advantage. Orza up the inside. It looks like he's going to be able to clear him as they head into turn 1.
Pretty textbook pass there for Orza. Move him on through, but Haycox isn't done yet. Maybe a crossover move to driver's right and a swing back to the left. Drew Williams to try to build up a run on 4th place Orza.
He got a pretty decent run here on the run down to the next corner at Atwood.
He took a look. The door slammed on him before he could make that stick. Now to the inside of Atwood Curve. He has overlap just slightly. Orza's going to leave him just enough space. They get through there side by side for a moment. Orza re-clears on exit.
And Dobek actually tried to get a run mid-corner. He's still going to have a bit of a run here on the exit. As you see, Haycox gets some of the grass. That's going to slow him down. And now it actually looks like Orza's actually helping out Dobek, trying to make these guys side by side here into the hairpin so he can try to drive away.
And Orza's going to go defensive and 42-35 side by side. McAreevy behind is watching this from 7th place. He wants 6th now as Haycox drops from 4th to 6th in a lap. Not in the right direction for the 35 machine.
He's hopefully going to try to get that moving back in the right direction here after losing those spots. I mean, you still got the guys right ahead of him. It's a matter of just, getting your head down, using the draft to your advantage to set up these passes.
Nice, neat, and tidy as they head through the middle sector of this race. Meanwhile, jumping very quickly back to Sergio Dorelli in the 86 and Michael Schmidt in the 23, where Dorelli was the driver that spun on the opening lap in turn number 1. Schmidt, very different looking day, 8th to 17th.
Yeah, a little bit sideways for Schmidt, also coming out of that corner there. He's going to lose a little bit of time back to Mayer in behind.
Aaron Vogel in the 247 car. He came to pit road twice, and it looked like once was 6 laps ago, so I think he had some trouble that we didn't catch. He now resides back in 32nd position, which is certainly not the day that he wanted after climbing up inside the top 20. It's going to be a bit of a disappointing finish.
Yeah, and I think that might be, again, these guys have an incident, incident limit as far as penalties are concerned. Every 12 incidents they get one. So I think the guys with two trips down pit road might have gone over that limit.
Could be. So thanks for that update there, Finney. It's 6.5 minutes to go. McAreevy and Haycox have traded positions. So Haycox went from 4th to 7th. Up in front of them, there's a bit of a scrap. There's the 503, I think I see in the middle of all that. That is Stephen Beardsley. The 201, Matthew John. That is for position for 51st.
And just showing, even no matter how far down the order, you're still going to be finding some competition here. These guys side by side through this section, which we haven't seen a whole lot of. A lot of times the guys have backed up, but still side by side.
Again, I think the trouble with this particular racetrack is that there are some sections that have a lot of braking zones, but there's such short straightaways in between that it's hard to build up a run to make a pass. So your passing opportunities are sort of limited. But the good thing about that sector is that you can make a move, and if it fails, you haven't killed off momentum for 3/4 of the lap. So there are definitely pros and cons to this particular layout for these cars.
For 4th place, Orza makes a mistake. Dobek up the inside is going to get the spot as they come out of the double hairpins, and you see him just be able to clear as they enter the final corner.
Wow, some drama there. So Dobek goes up to 4th, Orza to 5th. McAreevy and Haycox, they're going to draft back up to this front group together, and look who's behind him. Stevie Ray in the number 11. He's been lapping very quickly. I wouldn't count him out of this fight either. He could grab himself a top 5 in the last 5 minutes of this event.
Yeah, it was one of the earliest drivers of our leaders, at least, to come down on a pit road, and has made up quite a bit of time here. He's only going to have a few minutes, though, to try to get as many spots as possible. We'll have to see how far he can climb up if he can get these guys.
Yannick Chauvin in pit lane now, fitting for a pit stop. He had not yet made a stop yet, so he'll drop out of 15th position for the time being as we head to Atwood Curve now. Behind them, take a look at the 35 of Haycox, stepped out to driver's right on McAreevy, took a look into Atwood Curve, unable to make it stick and backs out.
We'll see here what happens on the back straightaway again, as this is where the draft is going to really be at play. You can see a pass up ahead. I think there's a battle we were looking at previously for 50th. Here we go now. A look up the inside. Everyone going defensive now into the hairpin, deep on the brakes.
Now Orza had a look on driver's right. Dobek has to give him space, and well executed racing there. That's out of the textbook for sure. Maybe Dobek has something to get back to the inside. Not quite. Here comes McAreevy with a run right to the rear tailpipes of the 42.
Yeah, Dobek had a poor corner there. McAreevy trying to get the great run off of here down this little straightaway. And there you see Dobek go defensive. McAreevy going to try to look around the outside.
If you can get along the outside here, it's difficult to stay. But if you can get there, then you have driver's right for turn number 9. And McAreevy unable to do that, so he'll stay in line with Dobek and Orza as they all battle for 4th place. Up at the front, Rizu Naselli's lead has started to come down a little bit. It's 1.2 seconds. Will take you there if it gets any closer. But meanwhile, the battle for 4th continues to be the most entertaining on the racetrack at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Some great stuff here, and definitely going to be far from over. A lap car pulling over, I think, just letting these guys on by.
Well, he got loose in the final corner. That was Matthew DeHont, and he's going to stay driver's right and stay out of harm's way as we come on through. Update on Chauvin, he's going to return to the racetrack back in 26th, so minus 11 from his pit stop sequence. Orza trying to put 2 car lengths on Dobek, McAreevy, and Haycox. They've settled down in 6th and 7th for now. Stevie Ray is just outside of draft range on Haycox at the moment.
Yeah, this is he's going to be trying the best he can. I think as these guys start to battle more and more, he's going to be able to kind of pull into them as you look into Sally up in the lead here. And Gaspers has still been closing in, but it might be too little, too late.
Well, there is lap traffic ahead. Will that play a factor? I think it might have something to do with how this race finished. Oh, real tight there as the 696 pulls drivers left. That was Laws Wiltshire out of the UK pulling out of the way, but that was almost not enough to prevent David Gaspers from turning across the nose. That gap did dwindle to 1.1 seconds within drafting range easily from Gaspers and Naselli. So the final 2 laps as we come by, 2.5 minutes to go from Okayama.
Yeah, this is going to need to use those 2 laps. He's going to definitely use this penultimate lap here, just using the draft now to try to draft back up to Naselli, and then he can finally, I think really the last lap is going to be where he can finally make his move.
And don't make any mistakes for either of them. Again, Naselli is led 19 of the 21 laps that we've completed, so all but 2. Gaspers behind has not led a single lap. You only need to lead 1 to win the race, but 1.1 seconds, still a pretty tall hill to climb, especially with how good Naselli has been today. We haven't seen him make a lot of mistakes. It's just been general pace behind lap traffic that's kept him in the fight.
Oh, looking back at the battle for 4th, side by side into turn 1. It's a lap car, never mind.
Yeah, either way, it's still side by side with the lap car, and Dobek wasn't able to clear before he got to track out, had to kind of pinch off the exit. McAreevy's gonna have to go the long way around. Oh, he just got absolutely inconvenienced by that car. I think that's the 424 car of Patrick Gassler.
Yeah.
And now Haycox trying to go the long way around. Oh, that's gonna get real tight into the braking zone for Atwood Curve, and it looks like they'll sneak around up in front of them. More lap traffic, and look at Dobek right in the back of Orza.
Yeah, he's going to have full rein here to try to make a move on Orza as he now looks to the outside here, heading into the hairpin as these guys go deep on the brakes. This is going to be interesting. Who's going to outbrake the other?
Don't lock the tires up. Orza's late on him, so is Dobek. He locks up the right front tire. Now he's got drivers left, though, so he's got preferred line into the next corner here. Orza's going to have to wait, maybe cross him over, have a run on exit. No place to go. Don't panic. I think Orza is panicking. He wants 4th place back.
Whoa, and he had to take that corner wide because McAreevy had to look up the inside heading into that corner, so that held him up a little bit.
A little bit wide for Orza. Didn't keep it neat and tidy, so McAreevy has a run to driver's left. Orza will hang on, but Dobek going to escape right now with a 3-car length lead over 5th place Orza. Meanwhile, the race leaders come across the start-finish line, this time through with 24 seconds to go. That will engage our final lap of the race. Nazali has led 20 of these laps. Gasper's behind. Remember where he started earlier in this race? He started in 4th position. He's only made it up to 2nd, and he's 1 second back from grabbing the race lead, but it's just too far back unless something happens in Maurizio.
Yeah, and the thing is, yeah, the gap was pretty much the same as he came by the last time, the lap previous, so hasn't really made some inroads. He's, again, going to have to hope for a Hail Mary to help him out at this point.
Erwin Rothgren's pulled over slow. Might be out of fuel on this car, so he's back in 22nd. That'll give everyone behind him another position.
Yeah, it was running really well up in 13th when that happened, so unfortunate end for his day.
Into the braking zone for the hairpin, Maurizio Nazelli. His lead has dwindled 0.8 of a second now. Gaspers is closing. There is lap traffic in the way. Final sector for Nazelli.
Yeah, looks like he's going to get a little bit of luck here.
Right here, the 333 is going to make him pinch off the exit. Oh, no, trouble behind him. That's the one of Gasper's. That's our second place car with the lap car. Trouble, big damage on that machine. He's got a long ways back to Madden. He's just got to limp it back, but that car absolutely obliterated.
He's going to be just a little bit frustrated with that. Again, was just trying to get a lap car in the way. And nothing really he could have done.
Meanwhile, out up front, Maurizio Naselli, almost flawless today. It was closer than maybe he wanted, but checkered flag falls for the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, sponsored by 42 Stitches. Maurizio Naselli wins the first race of 2020 Season 3 at Okayama Circuit. David Gaspers with a damaged number 1 car. He will limp it back in 2nd place. Madden in 3rd. You see him in the background there. Where's the battle for 4th, though? Dobek, Emil Orza.
Whoa, Orza sideways out of the final corner. It's going to give McAreevy a run as they're going to now race side by side. This is for 5th place. Can McAreevy get to him?
Not quite.
He cannot. And it's going to be Orsa going to take that top 5.
Bert Nunez in the 18 and Sergio Dorelli. These guys have been around each other all day long. Move the 18 up to 14th in the final couple of corners. Brett Holton slow. He might be out of fuel as well. We've seen a couple drivers misfuel their car. Stevie Ray, maybe another one here, Finian. Out of fuel? Yes.
Yeah. And you remember he was right in behind those drivers that were battling up ahead. He was running in 8th.
Oh, look at that. That's the 287 giving him a shove. Looking down the order of the 287. See who was piloting that car today. Whoa, bit of a swerve there, but great sportsmanship there. You have the 287 underscoring there, Finney? I'm trying to. Nico Schuch
yeah.
is in that car. So what a race for Maurizio Naselli, though. That was really, really solid. Gaspers comes home 8 seconds back. He was close, but no cigar. Needed the lap traffic situation to go the other way around. Didn't quite work out that way. Let's have a quick look at our race results here. Maurizio Naselli, Gaspers, your top 2. John Madden rounds out the podium. Pretty quiet day for Madden in the number 8 car. Then Michael Dobek, Emil Orza, Gary McAreevy in the 67, Ian Haycox, Dominique Bureau, Hugh Haycox, and Zorek rounding out your top 10. Look at the diversity. There was only one to actually make that 2 drivers from the United States. That would be Emil Orza and John Madden. Everybody else from across the globe. You got Canada, our neighbors to the north, and the rest is all European. So that's pretty cool to see as we jump on back now to our 11th through 20th. Dan Sadro out of the Midwest in the number 51 car. Michael Schmidt, Kurt Nunez, Mayer, and Stevie Ray ran out of fuel. Still comes home with a top 15. Can't be disappointed in that, Finian. All things said and done, not a bad day.
Yeah, unfortunate for him that he mistimed it or just miscalculated the fuel. But yeah, still a solid top 15 finish. But as a driver, you're always going to think, man, if I just added just a little bit more gas, you got to came home with that 8th place finish. So.
Look at Yannick Chauvin from 58th to 21st, one of our biggest movers today. Very impressive. I'd like to get a chance to talk to him if we could. Out of France for the number 13. Jeff Jacobson out of the Midwest, 22nd. Aaron Vogel was up inside the top 20, had issues that he had to come to pit road for. Out of Indiana, he comes home 25th. Jump on now down to 31st through 40th. Some days didn't quite go the way that they wanted. Look at this. We got drivers all the way from Australia, New Zealand. Tom Gradwell finishes 34th in the 299 car. And Erwin Rothgrens runs out of fuel in the final moments of this race. And a lot of fuel calculating errors today, and that's something that these drivers will probably have sorted out by the time we enter our second race at Interlagos next week. So that is your race results. We're going to step away for just a minute. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with interviews in just a moment. Welcome back live to SYM TV and the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, sponsored by 42 Stitches. Here now with our last step on the podium finisher, John Madden in the number 8 car. John, today was a fairly quiet race for you. Started 6th, finished in 3rd. The battle for 4th behind you was a Hornet's Nest. There was a good battle for the race lead up in front, but sort of no man's land here, but a 3rd. Got to be pretty happy with your day, all things considered.
All things considered, sure. Yeah, it was a quiet day for me. I was trying to stay with Mauricio as best as I could, and I was hanging in there. But I thought I'd be clever and jump some cars at the pit stop, and it sort of backfired on me. I ended up coming back out into traffic on my out lap, so it didn't work. And the gap was, 3 seconds or something like that to David at that point. So I just packed it in and saved some fuel and just cruised.
We saw a lot of drivers locking up the right front tire heading down into the hairpin. The track sort of falls away there. So how do you manage all 3 pedals moving around and downshifting this car? How do you manage that into the braking zones at a track like this where the track falls away and you lock those tires up?
Yeah, it's tricky. It's also tricky too on these new tires. The car shifts a little bit different than usual, so there's a lot of neutral that goes into there too. But there's good front end bite, there's good rear end bite as long as you have it set up fine, and you just hope for the best and turn it in.
All right, John Madden, P3, nice podium finish for round number 1 of the season. We look forward to seeing you again next week at Interlagos. John, thanks for talking.
Thank you.
And now to our, I dragged Finian out of the booth. Sorry, Finian. We got David Gaspers joining us now in the number 1 car. 2nd place today, David, but it wasn't without a little bit of drama there at the end. You were running down the race leader, and lap traffic became a factor and tore up the front of that beautiful faux speed green and black livery on that car. Walk us through the last couple laps, the chase of the 44, and that collision with the lapper.
Yeah, I think I was about half a tenth, maybe faster than Maurizio, so I knew it wouldn't be enough time. And then out of a hairpin there, the double left-hander, I think the other car was out of fuel after watching the replay, but yeah, there was no way of predicting he wouldn't be able to accelerate out of a corner.
This racetrack is pretty tight and technical, and there's some similarities to the track that we're going to visit next week in Interlagos. That's a lot more sweeping corners, though, and these cars really benefit from the draft. Next week, not a racetrack with a lot of straightaway. How does that change your approach? Does that make qualifying more or less important as we head into next week?
Qualifying should be less important next week. I didn't get any draft this week, so yeah, that was a bit annoying. But next week it should be a lot easier to overtake.
All right, David. Hey, nice run today. 2nd place in the number 1 car. Thanks for talking to us. We look forward to seeing you again at Interlagos. Last driver we've got, looks like we've got Steve Ray on standby, and it wasn't quite the ending that we wanted to see. Steve running out of fuel there at the very end. Crew chief fired after that one, or what happened there at the very end of that race? Yeah, Steve Ray.
He's here. His mic is he has a server mute on.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, don't know why that happened.
It might have been when I was
Trying to keep me out, huh?
Yeah, I think so. But crew chief fired after this one, Steve, or was that? It happens sometimes. But walk us through what happened there. He running up inside the top 15, ended up finishing just on the cusp of it with running out of fuel there at the end. Walk us through it.
Yeah, I'm kind of known for pitting early, and I did my calculations, and I was looking at my fuel tank and thought, okay, I'm ready, and I pitted, and just a hair early for that this time. I started sputtering on the back straight to the hairpin, so we'll have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how soon I can pit and still make it next time.
I was asking Patrick Gaspers about next week. He thinks qualifying will be less important at Interlagos. Not a lot of draft here, not a lot of draft there, so that kind of harkens some similarities. Your thoughts on our second trip to international racetrack at Interlagos next week?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, especially if we have another large group like this. I was really happy and surprised that we filled the house with it. I just wanted to stop in for a minute and thank everybody for their support, for coming out every week, week after week. It's the guys in the league that make this one such a great one. And you guys coming on board, it's going to be a great season, and a huge thanks to Jim McGill and 42 Stitches for supporting us for the season. So just really, again, thanks to everybody, and looking forward to the season.
All right, thanks so much, Steve. Have a wonderful afternoon. We'll see you next week at Interlagos.
Take care.
With that, of course, we want to thank, again, our sponsors this afternoon, 42 Stitches, for coming on board here, fitting, and they do custom embroidery, and I'll read out again just so everyone makes sure they know what 42 Stitches is. Whether it's one piece for that special gift or 1,000 to make your organization stand out, 42 Stitches has you covered. Custom embroidery and heat transfer on a wide variety of items, shirts, hats, jackets, even flame retardant applications where safety is a concern. You can check them out at 42stitches.com or shoot them an email to info@42stitches.com to get your project started. Thanks so much for watching this afternoon for the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. Finn, and we head to Interlagos next week, a racetrack that we don't really visit a whole lot here on SYM TV, but very excited to visit there for, I think, one of the first times we've ever gone there for a league racing application.
Yeah, I think it should be too. I don't remember ever going there for a series, so it should be fun again. It's going to be a lot of firsts for us as far as calendar-wise, with a lot of tracks we normally wouldn't visit, especially, I know definitely off the top of my head, Phillip Island. I'm trying to pull up the schedule here for a few other tracks. I mean, just looking down, I haven't really gone to Donington a whole lot, if at all. Definitely Zolder. I don't remember going there. Looking also, have we done a race to Sequoia yet?
Back with Scars Ferrari Challenge, I think we did it once or twice.
Okay.
Some new
And
tracks.
Nürburgring.
Definitely some new tracks that we haven't been to before. And again, that's sort of, you know, when you have iRacing dictating the schedules a little bit, that sort of mixes things up because it's not the same, necessarily the overly popular tracks that you see, you know, Watkins Glen Sonoma, you know, Spa. Those are on the schedule, but we get a little bit more variety this way, which is kind of nice. But again, thanks again to 42 Stitches and the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. What's coming up next on SYM TV? Well, I think we have to wait until tomorrow because we've got Watkins Glen, the 3-wide Grand National Division. We're also, for the ERSCA Series, we are headed to Las Vegas. Then Tuesday, Fuel Premier Cup Series action. That will be... Are we done? Are we done?
For
Fuel. I'm looking, I see 721.
no, yeah, it's a finale.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that's all right. I added the next schedule, and yeah, because we're
okay.
next week,
I'm a little
we're
confused.
Tuesday
You're one
finale.
step ahead of me. I haven't checked in with that series in a while. So, and then we do have on Wednesday, I think we've got Rodenzo Sports Car Challenge from Road America. So lots of fun stuff coming up this week. Again, if you're not subscribed, make sure you are to catch this series again next Sunday from Interlagos. Thanks so much for watching.